Alright, what is up guys? Welcome back to part 2 of this playthrough here. So once again, this is Al Kaiser Senpai, and we are just doing some commentary over the top of it to see what we can learn about PoE 2 ahead of its early access launch. If you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, really appreciate it. Helps me out. Getting close to 1,200 subs. We're going to be putting out a lot of PoE 2 content as soon as we are able to. Like I was saying in the previous video, the main thing that I am kind of noticing here that is a huge difference from PoE 1 is just the addition of gold into the game. So even items, it looks like sell for gold, so I'm assuming that means we purchase items for gold. I'm also assuming that that means that possibly they've taken out a lot of that lower tier currency, like your scroll fragments, your alch, or not your alch, your transmutes, your augmentation orbs, your alteration orbs. I think that, you know, what I'm kind of hoping, because I haven't seen any of those drop so far. The only thing I've seen drop is Scroll of Wisdom and one alchemy orb. So kind of what that's leading me to believe is that sort of all that lower tier crafting currency that was just kind of bloat and dead weight, especially, you know, past the, you know, very beginning, like the first 10 minutes of the game. Most people don't even pick them up. They disable them in their loot filters. So hopefully it's just going to be like a crafting bench that utilizes gold to do some of that like base level crafting. And then it does look like that there are at least alchemy orbs though, so you can still convert, you know, a white item to a rare item with that currency. So that is, you know, a huge change, in my opinion, just to like the base sort of core gameplay loop, in terms of what will be farming, what will be sort of driving force behind the economy, because a lot of what PoE 1 is, unless you're playing solo self-found, is like an economy simulator. It's almost its own like second mini game, or you know, possibly even the main part of the game. Sorry, this lag is part of the video. It must have been from the time of recording. Which another thing I noticed that I didn't catch in the first video is those checkpoints. It seems like typically they are right before a boss fight. They refill your potions and give you a respawn point if you die, but if you die, it does seem like the boss will reset, so you will be fighting a full HP boss again, so you're not going to be able to just sort of like zerg down the boss in soft core. If your build is not able to complete the encounter, then you're probably gonna have to like farm up and come back and reattempt, or just continue to like throw yourself at it. So once again, we see an orb of alchemy drop, but so far have not seen any alterations, any transmutes, no portal scrolls. Oh, that mini map looks pretty sick. Town portal is now, you know, basically it seems like a built-in portal gem, which I think is a great change. It does look like it has a cast time and an animation, so you cannot just like pop a portal and escape. It's to be determined, to be seen, like if they added in like the logout, instant logout function from PoE 1, because that, in my opinion, kind of ruins the whole point of playing hardcore, which we can see here, like the gold cost on items and the value for selling items. This mini-map looks actually like very, very beautiful. Oh, sorry guys, we got another ad here. But yeah, so it seems like gold is going to be just a massive change to a lot of, you know, what's happening in Path of Exile 2. But yeah, the instant logout, I mean, there's arguments on both sides of it. So Diablo 3, Diablo 4, a lot of characters died in hardcore due to like server lag. But you know, if you have the instant logout, I mean, everyone that plays hardcore competitively, every streamer, etc., they all have logout macros. So if their character gets in danger, their script will just automatically log them out of the game. If you don't have that script, you can still do it manually, and you can probably do it in less than a second, and log out and save your character from, you know, if you get into a situation where you're gonna die or you're at risk of dying. So to me, like, I'd always kind of played hardcore, and that wasn't something that I tended to do really, you know, often, because most of my deaths were like from getting one shot. But I have, you know, there were times, and even in softcore, when you get to those higher levels and you don't want to like lose all your XP. But one of the problems I think with PoE 1 that I'm hoping has been addressed in PoE 2 is that the one shots, because like most of your deaths in PoE 1, like when you get towards the end of the game, occur, you know, instantly in a small fraction of a second, so there's no chance to react to it. You just have to hope that you have enough, you know, of an effective hit point pool that you can survive, like just the instant burst damage. So I'm hoping that the damage in this is a little more similar to what it was in like Diablo 2, where, you know, if you put yourself in like a dangerous situation, like if you run into the middle of the minions of destruction, you know, you might not die instantly. I mean, if you're a squishier class, you'll probably die very quickly, but you kind of knew what situations were gonna put you at like high risk of getting, you know, killed very quickly. Like a lot of it was positioning. It wasn't just like one heavily modded monster popping up before you can even realize what mods they have and then insta-killing you. So I'm hoping that this PoE 2 has kind of figured out how to approach that a little better than Path of Exile 1. So far in this first, in this, you know, we're at less than an hour of gameplay, and I've seen several more interesting bosses than I have in
using armor break repeatedly again.
So I really like how they give you a visual of the ability, so you can kind of get a preview of what it looks like without having to go to YouTube, without having to just get that skill gem to check it out. Because like for me, a lot of the fantasy of the game is like, I want to use a cool looking skill, and when I don't know what it looks like, I want to see what it looks like and try it out. But a lot of times the amount of time so, you know, I'm curious here. We've got a still very low level character. Like I think he's only level 4 or 5, and he's got like 5 or 6 active skills so far. And that's not, I mean, that's like all you get in Diablo 4 is, and 3 is like 5 or 6 abilities. The addition in Diablo 4 of like the generator spender, I think was just absolutely abysmal, because you're sort of locked into really only having like 5 choices for your skills, and that generator skill just feels like dead weight on your skill bar because you don't even use it 99% of the time. And if you can eventually remove it from your skill bar, you know, there comes a point where occasionally you're like, oh, I don't have a basic attack, you know, and it just doesn't feel good. I really dislike that system. I think they've spent so much time in Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 figuring out how to create different resource systems for the classes. Like, I don't think anyone ever had a problem with mana. The system just works, you know, beautifully. It's simple, it's easy to understand. You don't have to really do a whole lot to balance like the itemization between the classes. It makes balance a lot easier. You know, it makes sense when you've got a wizard or a sorceress, like that they have a higher mana pool than a barbarian. You know, it worked beautifully. It was simple. It was just, you know, perfect, really, in my opinion, how it was. And I think a lot of the design choices in Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 were impacted by those decisions, and it, I think, very negatively impacted the game. Already we've seen a lot of different environments with a lot of detail and, you know, different feels to them so far in this playthrough of PoE 2 and really like all of Diablo 4. And you know, I haven't purchased the expansion. I finally decided that, you know, Blizzard has kind of lost, you know, all of my faith in Blizzard is gone. I have no more like goodwill towards them. So I was like, well, I mean, PoE 2 comes out in a month. I don't think I need to play Diablo 4 for a month just to be like probably disappointed, one, in the story, which I've heard negative things about. I don't even know what the story is, but I could just tell from, you know, the characters, etc., that I probably wouldn't like it. And lo and behold, it seems like a lot of people don't. But most of the areas in Diablo 4 in the base game, it's just like a gray. Like, it feels kind of like they were still fleshing it out, and then they're just like, oh, we don't have enough time to add in any additional colors, so it all just looks like a grayed out, like, backdrop with, you know, almost no, like, different tile sets in there. Like, here we're seeing a lot of yellow, sort of like mushroom looking things, which fits the environment, this sort of like swampy environment. We're seeing this sort of goopy looking water. And then here we're seeing this skill passive tree once again. One thing I notice here is it doesn't look like they have masteries in there. Alright, so I mean, it looks like our character sheet has a lot of good information on it. So you've got like a full breakdown of your character in one spot. That's another thing that just drove me nuts in Diablo 4. It's like their character sheet does not tell you what you need to know. So a lot of times you'd have to go into your character sheet and then click on more information in D4 to actually see the full breakdown, and even then it's like, you know, as much as Blizzard preaches making things like simple and easy to learn and understand, figuring out and navigating their sort of character sheets and information is not easy to understand. So here we've got another just, you know, beautiful looking sort of graveyard environment.
Just wait. I need more time.
The monsters fit with the environment. There's a lot of monster variety, even so far just in Act 1. We've got some crows like flying up off the trees. Just all these nice little details that give it that feel. We've got some monsters that are wielding like tombstones. That's a very, you know, interesting design choice. Very, very cool. So starting to see a lot more gold dropping consistently. Still have yet to see any sort of like currency from the first game besides an alchemy shard. You know, I'm kind of wondering if they even got rid of like, you know, chaos orbs. I would almost think like by now we would have possibly seen a chaos drop. But if they got rid of like alterations, transmutes, etc., I guess why wouldn't you get rid of chaos orbs and just make it cost gold on the crafting bench? But then I don't know why you would leave like alchemy orbs. But yeah, so far almost very small number of currency items have dropped. Just 2 alchemy orbs. Oh, there we just saw a chromatic orb, so. I forget what the chromatic orbs do. Because I believe the way they changed the sockets, I'm not even sure if I've seen really like the sockets, any sockets in gear. I'm gonna have to take a look when he opens up his inventory again. Yeah, there's like, I'm not seeing any sockets in gear, which I actually do like the way that impacts sort of like the visual representation of your gear, because before you'd have these like very beautifully, you know, hand drawn or you know, just opening up your character sheet and looking at your gear like in the slots, to me it always was something that was like, oh, look at this like sick piece of gear, like that's awesome. Like I've got, you know, the grandfather, I've got like this Ariat's face Slayer guard, it looks so sick. But in PoE you open up your inventory and all you see are the sockets and the gems in the sockets with like the links, and so it kind of takes away some of that fantasy. But I really am curious again what the chromatics do, because I remember at one point seeing something about like your weapon having slots or sockets, but I don't even think I'm seeing that in this. So I don't know if it affects like your in your gem tab where you socket like the supports. That's one thing we're gonna have to keep our eyes open for. Another interesting thing is that they have added in WASD movement to like the PC version, so you can choose mouse or WASD. If you do WASD, I'm not sure like how that will affect your skills. Like what keybinds you would use for all your skills. I understand why they added it, just because of like some of the, I think, mechanics for other classes. You can kind of like run backwards and shoot your arrows or your bow or cast spells or whatever. And then also for like the console players, it's, you know, it makes sense. But I think I would just on PC always play, you know, with the mouse style of movement versus WASD. I do plan on playing this on, you know, because of the cross progression, also playing this on PS5. Just because, you know, I don't always want to sit at my computer, like, you know, my setup is down in my, you know, partially finished basement, but if it's a nice, like, sunny day and I just want to chill and relax on the couch, like, I would like to fire it up and just chill up there versus like coming down and getting on my PC. But, you know, there's also times where I do want to, like if it's a dark rainy day or it's at night in the wintertime or it gets dark at like 5, which it's about to, you know, start being dark by like 3 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon, before too long. I don't mind like coming down, hopping on the PC for a little bit, get in like a good gaming session, like listen to some tunes. So I'm really, that's one thing that I'm super stoked about, is the addition of the cross progression, the cross play, the couch co-op. I'm a huge fan of couch co-op, and I will definitely be taking advantage of that feature. So still curious what the what all functions the gold will be for, and oh, got another ad, and it looks like about to start a boss fight. So many interesting, you know, and unique like boss, like the entrance of the boss every time. It's like a, you know, oh, that was a big hit if he already stunned him. Draven. Reminds me of League of Legends. But yeah, so far every boss fight sort of has their own like intro into the fray. Unique animations, unique character models. Oh, that was some big boy damage. So okay, let's take a look here. I'm pretty sure the boss does reset. Yep, so the whole fight resets. That's a good design choice. I really like that, because it will prevent it will kind of force you to, man, that's some big damage. It will influence like the overall meta of the game, because if you don't have enough defense and you're getting killed by bosses, and you have to constantly restart the fights, like it's gonna slow your overall progression down through the story mode if you're playing softcore. And it's not going to just be about like, oh, I'm gonna run in, do as much damage as I can. If I die, I'll just like portal back in and finish the boss off in half a second. But the boss fights look fantastic. Just considering that these are like Act 1, like sub-level 10 boss fights, they still look more... Oh, I just saw an Orb of Transmutation. Okay, so those are still in the game. I'm just kind of surprised at the drop rate on them. Oh, what did he just use? Let me rewind here. Okay, so Orb of Transmutation. Alright. I really like these, the way these look. It reminds me a lot of, Devil May Cry, like the orbs in those. With the faces, it reminds me of Berserk. So, very cool. So, we've got an Orb of Transmutation.
My pleasure.
So, got some stats. Oh, what was that? Okay, so there are still Orb of Augmentations and Transmutations. I'm kind of surprised at how low of a drop rate they have now. Very, very interesting on like the pacing. Like even still at this point in the game, a lot of the items are that this character is using are white items, and he's just now like starting to be able to upgrade a couple of them into magics, and then and only like one or two rare items from alch orbs. So I'm even more curious now what like the gold is for. Is it strictly for vendor purchasing things from the vendor, I was really getting riled up there, thinking they'd taken out like a bunch of the different currencies. But there is, I mean, there's a lot of gold. Like, it just seems like for how much gold is dropping, that there's got to be, you know, a lot of uses for it, because it's not Settlers of Kalgur. Like, we're not hiring workers, we're not sending boats out, we're not paying for labor in our little bases, at least, you know, as far as I know. I kind of hope not, just because, like, those mechanics were not bad. Like, I don't really have anything against those mechanics, but at the same time, it did become a little tedious. Alright, so we do have, like, some non boss devourer monster types. Another very interesting looking tile set here for this zone. And again, this is all Act 1, so far we've seen just a lot more variety of maps than in just the first hour of gameplay than I would say like all of Diablo 4. Oh man, those guys kind of remind me of like a Dark Souls or Elden Ring like monster. So I think he came back to this area to try and like level up, because he was getting kind of having a rough time when he went to that new zone. And that's one thing that I do miss about Diablo 2, is like there were a lot of times where you'd be progressing through the game and you may have to like stop and do some like XP runs just to get your character up. I don't feel like that's necessary at all in the current Path of Exile. I really hate the Diablo 4 version of like everything being, you know, tied to your character level. I just, you know, they tried to reinvent a lot of the wheel in Diablo 4, and a lot of it just didn't land. You know, like it's interesting being able to play with anybody at any level. That is nice. I feel like they could have done that with like a power scaling system though, if they really wanted to. Potentially, but even then, like, I just don't think anyone was asking for that. And then, you know, just think about how much development time they had to put into sort of trying to even get it to a workable state. So yeah, it looks like real close to leveling up. He's looking for that last pack to get that next level, and then I'm assuming he's going to go to the next zone. Oh no, he's looking for the tomb for another quest. So explore the tomb in search of Lockland's children. Alright, so we just hit level 10.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance and I saved hundreds. With all the money I saved, thought I'd buy stilts.
Even more new monster types that we have not seen yet, just in the first like hour of play. Like those one sort of like bone undead knight dudes look pretty sick. Alright, leveling up his gems. I would really like him to hover over the chromatic orb just to see exactly what it is gonna affect. Let me rewind here real quick just to where he opened up his inventory and checked his weapon.
Just wait.
See, I think it was right after this. I just wanted to see if there was any jewel or gem sockets on the weapon. Oh, whoops. I guess he didn't actually hover over the weapon. I thought he did. We are starting to get close to that 30-minute mark here, so we will find another good point to stop this, and then we'll make another 30-minute segment. I like those Reaper-looking dudes. Even just the base like undead skeleton looks, you know, threatening. And then you got those like caster, undead mage, like those shield dudes. They look dangerous. Like they just look like they can take a lot of damage. Got this scythe-looking dude that has sort of like a step back. So we got that checkpoint that gives you the full heal. Okay, so here's another boss. Is it the same dude or is it a different one? Okay, so it's like a chick. I feel like she was the green ghost that was helping the other guy in that last fight. So I wonder if like the spirit of Draven is gonna help her in this battle. We got some spirits coming in. Looks like that one move does some pretty like noticeable burn damage.
Your end will be too.
Alright, so we transmuted the chest piece.
I'm sorry, Lord.
It seems like there is a much better sort of drop rate on items, much more consistent with like Diablo 1, Diablo 2, where it's not just like everywhere filling up your screen. So I guess this is probably a good spot to end this segment. Just haven't finished that boss before we go into the next zone. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We will have the next episode or part coming up here shortly. Do appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, and remember to give them the D. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. We're gonna. All right. I guess. Hang on. We're gonna go through this boss fight right here. So this dude, I was not expecting that. Just morphed into a huge, pretty dangerous looking boss.
Just wait.
He's got some like some pretty nasty attacks. I'm not sure if this character or this player has put any points into like health, but he seems like super squishy. Why? I don't know why he's running away. I mean, he still had a health potion. All right, the hooded one. Oh, that is awesome. He's got an identify option. So we've got basically like Deckard Cain. Deckard Cain, who can identify all your items. That was one thing that just drives me nuts in PoE 1. If I have like 20 items in my inventory I need to identify. Alright, uncut support gem.
Hunt with the first ones, old man.
So it seems like we got our first support gem here. A lot of familiar faces here. Some that are new. I think that was, what was that, a tier 1 or a tier 2? Oh, these are tier 1s as well. Or, well, does it say, it says plus 15 strength? Does that mean it gives you an additional 15 strength? There's just so many little things that are like really good touches to this game that I'm like really getting pumped up about. Like just identifying the items and upgrading them, the way it flashes. I mean, it looks like it feels really good just to identify an item. Alright, so I was getting pretty pumped up there because like we're continuing to sort of learn some new things just from watching. And but I think now is a good time to go ahead and go on to the next segment. So we will just go ahead and do that after he clears this pack right here. Alright, so check out the rest in the next segment.